This is a tutorial on how to run the ProPresenter software for showing slides in worship for Shalom Mennonite Church. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to click into Google Chrome and make sure that our Crestron Room Viewer is turned on. This allows us to control the projector from the laptop. So we are going to hit power on here, turn on the projector, and make sure that everything is set. If when you turn on the projector, the screen looks off center or like it's not the correct size for the actual screen, you can use this auto button. If you push the button, it will make the screen go white and adjust the resolution to a different size. In case you have to do something manually to configure for our screen size, the resolution that you want to look for is 1920 by 1080. So hopefully you won't ever need to use that, but that information is available if you need it. And there should be a little note someplace in the sound booth that tells you what that screen resolution should be. So I've already turned on the projector and everything looks correct. The screen is at the exact places that we need it to be, or that the projection is exactly where I need it to be on the screen at this point. So I'm going to move on to the next step, which is to open ProPresenter 6, which is this software down here. You'll see this icon, and you'll click on that and open ProPresenter 6. One of the best things about this software, and largely the reason that we've decided to move to this, is the fact that we can have this set up so that what is visible on the screen is really only what is in this small box here in ProPresenter. So currently there's nothing being projected up onto the screen. If I were to click on the logo slide, then the projection onto the screen immediately shows that slide. So we're going to look at what this software offers to also change the screen resolution in case that is an issue for you at some point as well. So in ProPresenter, we can go to the ProPresenter preferences, and under the display, we need to make sure that we have the SD and the output screens listed here, and that the screen width is correct. So this is 1020 by 1920 by 1080, and that is the correct resolution for our screen and our setup. It should generally keep the configuration, but just in case it doesn't, this is the place that you go to check that and to change it. And we have additional capabilities if we need to, but for now this is the setup that we are using. So we want this one, the SD, which is actually a stage display here, and we want output here. And this indicates to us that the what's being projected, the output, is only visible on the screen. So once we've checked that, we can click out of our preferences and go back to our software. If neither of those two things allow you to get the resolution correct on the screen, you can always go into your system preferences and displays, and that will allow you to check the computer's configuration as well. So what you'll do is you'll click into the arrangement, and you want to make sure that mirror displays down here, that this box is not checked. If this box is checked, then what ends up happening is that everything that you see on your screen is projected, and that's not what we want. We definitely need it to have two separate screens here in this window, which means that the ProPresenter software is controlling what is visible on the screen. So if all of those things are correct, you should have the correct output going up onto the screen from the ProPresenter software. I do like to keep this window, the ProPresenter window, somewhat small so that I can toggle back and forth quickly between the projector and ProPresenter if I need to. But if we've done everything correctly, you shouldn't need to do that during the service. We do have blank slides built in like this, which will blank out the screen without using the projector's blank button, which then projects blank onto the screen. So this just makes everything look a little bit more professional, and we don't end up with a little icon in the bottom corner saying blank. So on any given Sunday morning when you come in and you've gotten everything set up correctly, this is basically what you will see. For this coming Sunday, which is July 15, we have the logo slide, which is here, a blank slide following that, and then the scripture slides. We don't have any additional slides this week, which makes it a pretty easy, pretty straightforward week. We are using a German scripture this week, so those slides are first, and then the English slides are after that. And within the ProPresenter software, it's basically a point and click system. So what I click on is what is projected. If I click on the first slide of the German text, that's what comes up on the screen, and you can see that in this window over here. It's hard to read because the writing is so small, but that is the correct slide that I've clicked on. If I click back onto the logo slide, it immediately goes back to the logo. We have in other weeks tried a couple of different things. We had some picture slides for Rachel's sermon this past week, and those are here. It is possible to control these slides using the long distance remote that we have in the booth. And if you want to do that, to let someone control the slides from elsewhere in the sanctuary, you're welcome to do that, but you lose some of the ability to maneuver from section to section when you do that, because you can only arrow from slide to slide within a given section. So for instance, if I'm in the scripture reading and I've clicked into that using the mouse on the laptop, to advance the slides, I can do that using the remote. As you'll see, I'm moving this without the mouse on the screen moving. You can go back, but if I were to want to keep going back and go back into the logo slide, I can't do that. So I can arrow through all of these slides, but once I move into the next section of slides like this, I've moved into the sermon slides now, I can move between those slides and I can move to the blank slide, but I can't go back to the scripture slides. It won't let me do that. So you do lose a little bit of capability. There is also a $5 remote that you can purchase for a cell phone, either an Android or an iPhone, that does allow you to control the slides a little bit more like you do on the computer. So we can look into that, and if that is something that seems like it's a solid purchase for Shalom, then probably the church will cover the cost of that purchase for some of our devices. On the first Sunday of July, we actually showed a recap video from VBS, and so that slide is on here. Because it's a video slide, once I click on it, it immediately begins playing. I'm going to pause that rather than viewing the entire video, but that is a pretty simple, straightforward way to do it. Click on the slide, video plays, and then when it's finished, you can move to a blank slide. So we have done those things. On a normal Sunday when we're just running scripture slides, basically all you do is you click into the date, which is in this playlist column here, and everything that's in the playlist over here is an individual document which has been created and is in our library. So those documents can all be found here in the document library. To add a section of slides, we simply move those over, or we can hit Control and then remove those from the playlist using our mouse. Hopefully you won't need to do that. If everything has gone according to plan in the week, I will have already added any slides that you might need, including sermon slides, so that all you should have to do on a Sunday morning is make sure that the slides are presented correctly on the screen, and then point and click as needed to change the slides. So on a Sunday morning, we'll begin with this slide, which is the Shalom logo. and that can stay up until the worship leader has finished the welcome and is moving into the prayer time, and then you can move to the blank slide. This blank slide will then stay up until we get to the sermon or to the scripture slides. In addition to pointing and clicking or using a mouse to control the navigation through the slides, you can also use the arrow buttons. Pushing the arrow button once moves us into the next document over here. See, we've switched from opening slide to the scripture slide. And then if I hit it again, it immediately opens up that first slide. And I can navigate through the slides that way. I can also use the arrow buttons then to go up and down a little bit more so that I can still see what other slides are available. I do find that it's fairly easy to maneuver using the touchpad mouse on the computer from the first slides down into the scripture slide. But what I have found during the last 2 Sundays of worship is that navigating from slide to slide using the arrow keys during the actual scripture reading is kind of a helpful thing to be able to do. It's just a slightly smoother, faster transition. So those are a few quick things about the actual slides on Sunday mornings. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to contact me. At this point, I'm the only one that's really creating slides and putting the presentations together, the playlists together for Sunday mornings. But if anybody is curious about how to do that, ProPresenter also has a variety of videos that you're welcome to view if you want to. This Welcome to ProPresenter 6 video is quite long, but it is a helpful video about how to create slides, and it gives you probably far more information than you really need to be able to run the slides on a Sunday morning. But for future reference, if that's something you're interested in, you're welcome to check that out. At the end of the service then, when everything is over and you're ready to exit out of the software, you simply go to ProPresenter 6 and hit quit. And then we can also use the power button to disconnect from the projector. Turn that off, yes, and that will shut itself down. And then once we've completed all of these steps, just simply close the laptop and return it to my desk. And we'll be ready to get it set up for the next week. And like I said, don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. Email, phone, whatever. Grab me after church or before church if you're having trouble with it. I'm always happy to help. So just let me know.